Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fellowship of the Golden Age. And I'm very excited to introduce to you today. This is David Poon, one of our wonderful members of the community. Hi, David.
Hi, Neptune. Hi, everybody.
Good to see you. Okay, so let's dive straight in. So the theme of this series is about separate selves. So, David, I'd like to throw it straight over to you. If you could give to our viewers a kind of a universal explanation of what is a separate self.
Well, I would say it's separate from us. I think that, like, for me, the universal description would be that we create a sort of like a vehicle, like a separate self vehicle for us to experience Earth or experience something that we want to experience that we cannot experience from the point of view of pure awareness. So when we come to planet Earth, we have to have a sense of the ability to experience the life on Earth. And when we create a separate self, it sort of acts like a vehicle for us to experience anything we want, like experience to be on planet Earth, see what it feels like, and also experience the life with other human beings on planet Earth. So to me, that's a separate sort of entity for me to experience Earth without myself, the I am presence, being damaged or being traumatized by the experience, which of course we'll be discussing the primal self later on. But to me, I mean, the simplest way to say it is that a self is something that we created to experience life. So we need to have a self. If we don't have a self, we can't be on Earth. We basically we ascend. So we have to let go of the last self in order to ascend. So to me now, I feel after listening and also studying the master's teachings, I don't feel so bad to feel that I have a separate self. I don't feel that, okay, I need to get rid of all the separate self, because that was my thinking in the past when I was involved with other spiritual organizations, that you have to get rid of all the separate selves in order to be pure, in order to be like, to be enlightened. But now, of course, I realize no, it's a natural process. You need a separate self to experience life on Earth. It's just a matter of how you how you see life. Do you see it through the separate self and let the separate self control you, or you see it through the conscious self, which is the conscious you, and then you can make choices. Like we did the invocations, you can make choices to have a different experience.
Yeah. Lovely. Yeah, I like how you explain that. Like, yeah, we just make a choice. Like, yeah, which am I going to look through a lens or with clarity, with a higher choice? Lovely.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, David. Okay, so let's get to know you a little bit first. Now that we've sort of got opened up with our separate selves, could you share a bit about your earthly timeline, the history of, what it's been like for David Poon to arrive on Earth in this lifetime?
Gosh, it's a long lifetime. Spanning thousands of millions of years.
This
which
lifetime.
lifetime? Well, I can share maybe, I would say, two lifetimes that are quite significant to me, and that sort of defines who I am. So the first lifetime is many thousands of years ago that because I remember when I was out of my body and I was with the masters. They showed me one of the lifetimes that I was in Atlantis, and it was amazing. Like I was there, I could see the water, the landscape, And basically, I was there not as a man, but as a woman. So I
Yeah.
was a female, and I had a experience of working with Master Nada. At the time, it wasn't Master Nada; it was a priestess. And I remember I was one of the female person. Sort of like I work as a healer and working in that environment, and that sort of sets the basis of me lifetime after lifetime being a healer because I had that drive that I want to make a difference. I want to help people. I want to help people through their suffering. And one of my gifts is that I can give them the healing, the feeling of the Holy Spirit as I touch their hands or be in their presence. And that was one of the things that I had to overcome in this current lifetime in regards to healing myself and trying to save other people in doing that as well. And then the other lifetime was me being an Asian, sort of like a ruler. And that lifetime was in what you call ancient Japan, but it's not Japan. It's I was with the people that is now called Japan, like the Japanese people, but in the past it wasn't really Japanese. I remember that there was a time that I thought killing fallen beings was the right thing to do. And I
Yeah.
was vicious. I was vicious. I mean, I remember I was on a horse and I had a daughter at the time, and I didn't like what my daughter's boyfriend because I sensed that he was a fallen being. He was trying to get through my daughter to me and trying to undermine the ruling or the country's or whatever. Like I felt that my power or my sort of my plan of bringing about something a change, a divine change that society was undermined by this person who I felt was a fallen being. He was
Mm.
going through to my daughter.
You take a moment just
Yeah.
to give a simple explanation of what a fallen being is, in case people don't know what that.
Oh, sure. Well, the simplest thing is that they rebel against God, and they didn't feel that God's plan or God's definition of free will. They didn't accept that the free will of every individual is free will, and they believe that if they can control the outcome of certain situations, they think that okay, you can give examples like, in fact, my my very actions was actually violating other people's free will. So that's
Yeah.
how, because I was a ruler, I was trying to change people's minds. Because I thought, okay, I can change people's minds, I can change the outcome. But I was doing exactly what the fallen beings was doing. They're trying to
Yeah.
change other people's minds. So I attracted him. He was trying to go through me to my daughter. And I saw that he was a threat to me. So what I did one time at night, he was trying to meet my daughter, and then I saw him, and I gathered up the my own soldiers, and I chased him on a horse, and I caught up to him, and then I basically dragged him off the horse, and I said, "No, you're not going to marry my daughter. You are a fallen being, and then I'm going to punish you. I'm going to get rid of you." And at that time, I remember I drew my sword and I chopped off his head, and I felt good about it.
Whoa.
It was
Wow.
really horrifying because I saw that the replay of the whole scenario, the entire scenario, and I felt, oh, that was really horrifying. And I did that because I justified myself and said I got rid of fallen being, and now I can fulfill my plan. I can help change people's minds. But of course, now I realize there was not the highest consciousness that I had at the time. But that was the two significant, like you say, the two significant life timeline on Earth that I had that define who I am. Basically, uh,
Yep.
define what I do now,
Yeah.
and the separate selves that I built upon after those period of time that I went through, that I built separate selves trying to defend myself. Oh, I did right. I didn't do anything wrong. It was a fallen being. I killed the fallen being. I didn't do anything wrong. So I defended my choices, and then that action goes goes back to, again, the lifetime that I had in Atlantis, that I was healing people and I was trying to save people, but I didn't realize that I was going against their free will. That I'm not supposed to
Yeah. Yeah.
heal their sickness before they are healed in their psychology, before they transcend psychology. So that kind of mindset that sort of led through one lifetime after another, and I continue building on the separate selves to try to defend what I did.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. So, can you sort of like, I'm sure this is all going to be woven into the present.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give also now a couple of examples of, like, key turning points in your spiritual journey in this lifetime, like just bring us into this lifetime now?
Well, the key spiritual turning point I would say would be when I worked in the Japanese company, and I met the same person that I killed many lifetimes ago. The same
Wow.
person that I killed and the same person I punished, and it turned out to be my boss.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's the boss of the company, and I'm just the staff, one of the managers or the staff member. And I recognize him, but not really as someone that I knew from a past life. But I recognize that he is a fallen being. Like, the person is ruthless, only thinks about himself, only think about the company's bottom line, and doesn't really think about the welfare of the customers. And
Mm.
so one day, it was many years later, because I wanted to speak out myself in the company because I felt something was not right. But I felt like something in me prevents me from speaking out, because when I try to speak, I stutter. And my heartbeat was like racing up and down, right? If you have a heart rate monitor, you'll see
Mm.
that, I mean, the heartbeat was like running really fast. I didn't understand why. I mean, why am I so afraid to speak out towards this person? And then it was later on that I realized, because I was turning into becoming more spiritual, because I couldn't get the answers that I needed from traditional psychology. Because I went to see a shrink, and the shrink says, "Oh, you're just being nervous and so forth. There's nothing wrong with you. Just
Yeah.
here, I'll give you a couple of Prozac, and you'll be fine." And I took a couple of Prozacs. I was fine for a little bit, but then I was using drugs to numb myself, and I
Mm.
didn't feel it was like, intuitively, that wasn't the right way to approach this.
Yep.
So then I went to see some psychics and medium, and they told me that in the past life, something traumatic happened to you. But then they couldn't see what traumatic, the incident was traumatic that caused me to have this episode of fear towards this person. As it turned out, of course, at the etheric realm, when I was in the masters, they showed me a time where I was the ruler. But this time, this person that I killed, that I chopped his head off,
Mm.
was my advisor. But I was a young ruler. My parents died when I was young, so I became a young ruler. And this person sort of became my advisor. And one day, that advisor told me to do this and do that. And I looked at it and said, but what you do is that you're trying to start a war. And I didn't like that. I saw right through him that he was just manipulating people and myself. And I tried to get rid of him, but I couldn't because I was young. The advisors around me respect him more than me. So now it's the opposite. It's like at the time, in the previous time, I was able to kill him, but now I couldn't kill him. I couldn't shut him up.
Yeah.
So now I felt like I was helpless. So I told him, no, I'm not going to follow what you said. And he says, well, you have all the other advisors that agree with me. And eventually I caved in. I didn't know what to do. I was like fearful. How am I going to do this? Like if I run a country and I get the country into war, then it wouldn't be right. But I can't speak out. And then what he did was he tormented me. He pressured me. He put me down. He traumatized me. He sent all these people basically to harass me, to say, David, at the time I was young. I didn't know what to do. I was young. I was harassed. I was kind of like tortured all the time. And then finally I said, okay, I'll listen to you. And I did what he did. And then, of course, I knew the consequences of that. The country fell, and I was basically blamed for everything I did. And that was the most traumatic experience I've ever had. I was shamed for something I could have made a difference, but I was forced into it. I couldn't do anything. I felt helpless. I felt powerless. And after that lifetime, that was the time that I stopped speaking out. I stopped wanting to express myself because I feared the experience will come back again, that I will get shamed, I will get put down by the
Yeah.
same people that did that to me. And it was that moment about 10 years ago when I was working for that Japanese company when I realized this was the same man that put me down. And it was one day, it was at they call it the jam session where you can express how you can improve the company's bottom line. So everybody was spoke out everything, and at the end, he asked anybody else has anything to say, and I stood up. And I tell you, when I stood up, I felt so afraid. I was like sweating bullets. I was like that, but I thought, you know, why am I afraid? I had to speak out because this guy is not telling the truth. So what I did, I told the truth. And then after that, everybody was like speechless. And then at the end of the session, two people came to me and say, "Thank you, David, for speaking the truth. You got the guts to say that." And then 3 days later, uh, I got a visit from the HR from the head office.
Yep.
And
Yep.
apparently they want me to sign the paper, say to apologize to him that what I did was uncalled for, was harassment, and so forth. But of course, my manager says, no, it wasn't harassment. David told the truth, that the boss actually cheated, lied to the customers. He was just telling the truth. If you don't lie to a customer, your company will become become more respected, and the business will turn around. So when I sat there with the HR manager because the CEO wouldn't see me, I said I refuse to sign. I didn't do anything wrong, and she was pressuring me, and I said I refuse to sign because I didn't do anything wrong. And then after a while, she gave up. So what we came to the agreement is that a year later I would leave, I would get the package, but I had to sign an agreement that whatever I said or whatever transpired between me and the CEO would be sealed under an NDA agreement. So that was him says, basically telling me to shut up and don't tell the public anymore.
Hey, but I like
Um,
it because you're not, yeah, you're talking about it now, so that's cool.
yeah, I mean, I like to share that because I think
Yeah.
I'm not the only person that's like, that went through the same trauma.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
I might, yeah, I mean, I might be one of the person that has been traumatized uh, by a fallen being. But because if you see the history of me, that I wanted to change Earth. I thought my mission on Earth is to change Earth, to change it so that it will be like a natural planet where I came from. But now, of course, I knew better. But at
Yeah.
the time, it precipitated for me wanting to do good. I mean, we all want to do good for Earth,
Mm.
right? We all want to do good. I mean, I have passion doing good, doing service for people on Earth.
But then we
But
develop, through these traumas, then we develop like this mechanism which tells us, we can't speak, and we actually believe that, we cannot speak, we cannot say the truth. And, I've experienced it in this lifetime too, where it
mhm,
very similar, like, yeah, fallen beings and just this paralysis. And the breaking free was when I was ready, like, yep, now I'm going to speak. And
mhm.
it was like the spell just disappeared. Everything, it just went away. And it's only our minds that are telling us we can't do that. It's not actually real at all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that breakthrough, that punch through of that me speaking out was the most, I would say, challenging experience that I had to went through. I mean, I didn't have any teachings about the primal self or the separate selves that we have now. I
Yeah.
mean, considering now you have the tools, it will make a monumental, like for me, I would say it would help me monumentally to break through compared to 10 years ago when I didn't have any teachings. I
Mm,
mean, the only thing I had at the time was my Zen Buddhist teaching
hmm.
from Gautama Buddha for the teaching about the Atman. And that was also what I heard. I got from the Zen Buddhist was not the complete truth, but still, I mean, I use whatever the teachings that Gautama Buddha taught 2,500 years ago, and sort of figure it out myself. That is not real. It's
Yeah.
in the mind.
Yeah.
It's in
Yeah.
the mind that he planted on, like the person planted on many years ago, many decades or millions of years ago, of me time and time again meeting him, reinforcing this idea that I cannot speak out. I am not allowed to speak out. That's the word. I am not allowed to speak out. And even during the session, people would yanking my shirt and say, "Don't speak out, David."
Mm,
All
mm.
these people don't speak out. If you speak out, you're gonna get in trouble. You get me in trouble because
Yeah.
I did get a few other people in trouble because I was a manager of the department, and everyone under my my department all get in trouble because the way of punishing me is to punish the people under me and then get them to punish me also.
It's it's it's
So
it's like a Pavlovian sort of thing where, we're just trained and programmed for so many lifetimes, so that when we come through in a new lifetime and we've forgotten it all again,
mhm,
uh, but that pattern is still existing in our beings. But so yeah, so in even you breaking free from the patterning with that particular fallen being, but also you were demonstrating it to other people as well, which is giving them that gift and that key that, they can, that idea that, oh, I can try something different too. Like, I
mhm,
don't have to follow that. So can we sort of, I'm just watching the time. So
yep,
can we,
mhm,
can we swing into, and I'm sure this will weave in, you have let the primal self die. So can you just open with a little explanation of what the primal self is compared to like a regular separate self, and then share with us your experience. And does it relate back
Mhm.
to this particular lifetime and that you've been talking about, and that anxiety with speaking and so on?
Well, I would say primal self is the self that prevents you from breaking out. That the regular self, you can see it and can let it go. But the primal self brings you back to the time where you feel the most fear or the most trauma, because that self reminds you, okay, don't do this again. Otherwise, you will face the same experience, that traumatic, the most traumatic experience. Like, I would say it's not just one primal self. I realize it's many aspects of a primal self,
Yeah.
like the primal self, the environment of Earth, the people on Earth, and the expectations I have compared to when I was on the natural planet. Um, so when I came to Earth, I had all these expectations from a natural planet. And when I came to Earth, I realized, hey, this is not what I thought it would be. It was quite a shock. It's like you expect you're going to go into a warm shower, and then all of a sudden somebody forgot to turn on the heat, and you get a cold shower instead. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be shocking, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
would be shocking to you because you expected, hey, what? I thought it was supposed to be a warm shower. You got a cold shower instead. That's the analogy I would put in terms of the environment. I realized, wow, this is such a hostile environment.
Mm,
It's not conducive. It's not helping me. It's very hostile. And then the people is also hostile as well. But one of the main, I would say, the main trauma that I got was from being who humiliated me in front of all the rulers. I was a young child. I was a young ruler. I mean, what do I know? How to govern the country, right?
mm,
My parents all like they they uh, they left me because they died of some sort of disease, but I was left alone. I was a young ruler. I didn't know anything. I was alone, nobody helping me, and I was isolated. And then when I saw that these people have low vibrational energies, because there was a story in the My Lives book where one of the character can sense, you know, that oh, these people are not good people, right?
yeah.
Because they can sense the vibration. I was a one young child. When I read that, I said, "Hey, that was me. Like I'm alone. Everybody else, you feel that everybody else is gang up on you. You felt like you're hopeless. That was the most, I would say, the most traumatic experience I had because I nobody is helping me. Nobody helped me. I have no daddy and no mommy to help me. So I was put at that spot where I could see everybody, I could sense everybody's vibrations, but I have no power, nothing to tell them that they are what they are. I mean, what if you tell at those times, like thousands and thousands of years ago, oh, these people are human beings. They look at you and say, "What are you talking about?" So I was alone, and I just didn't have any way of defending myself. So that was the time that I felt the most traumatized, and that was the breakthrough I had to go through with that individual at the Japanese company, that I had to stand up, I have to call him out, and I have to demonstrate to people that you can, which I couldn't do when I was younger, when I was a ruler. At that time, I was supposed to be like, I stand it out like a little child calling out the emperor, not have no clothes.
Yeah.
But instead, I folded, I listened to what he said, and I was humiliated when what he taught me, what he told me to do was wrong, or the the country basically went south, and it didn't pan out as I thought it would be, which I thought it would be that I could change the country, change the people, and it turned out that I got basically traumatized from the experience. So I had to come back to this lifetime and stand up, but not being aggressive or antagonistic with him, but rather point out that, hey, you cheated. You caused the company to go down the hill. Same thing as what I was supposed to do in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, give the example, not put people down, or not being antagonistic. Just give an example. And that was the only thing I did. Was I stood up, gave the example that you can speak out. Everybody knew that the boss was cheating, or the boss was causing the whole country, the whole company to go down. But the people could not come to themselves to speak out. But when I spoke out afterwards, there were two people that came to me and say they really admire me that I spoke out, because they also want to speak out, but they were so afraid of losing their job, losing their pay, that they don't want to speak out. But then I recognized the two people actually are the ones that actually saved me from being fired. The two managers were actually the two advisors in my past life that actually supported me secretly. If I were to speak out calmly, neutrally, these two advisors will come to me and and support me for what I say in a past life. But in this life, they did what they couldn't do in my past life. So in a way, I resolved the karma with them too.
Yeah.
Because after I resolved my karma myself, I went and spoke with Jesus, and he sort of explained to me that sometimes when you break through and you resolve your primal self, you also resolve other people's um, tie to you, that now they can speak out. Like, the only you resolve the karma with the two individuals that I had, but gave them the confidence that they can speak out, which they did. They spoke out against the boss that I didn't do anything wrong. I shouldn't be fired. And that's how I managed not being fired. But allowing me to speak out somehow allowed them to speak out as well too. So I didn't realize that example is so powerful, that at the time I only thought, okay, I just speak out because I needed to speak out. But then the influence caused the other people to come up and rise further. So that's why I like to do this video, is to show people that you can speak out. If you resolve the primal self in you, you can speak out, and you feel at peace when you do speak out.
Yeah. Can you describe a little bit about, like, what it felt like when the primal self was finally coming up to be healed? Like, for me, I had voices, they were demons, but voices telling me to kill myself. It was horrible. So what was it like for you? Because it can be a very, very intense experience when we finally face this, and I think it's important to share.
Yes, I got the same experience. There is a big voice that tells me to shut up, that you're not good enough, that you will fail, that you will be shamed, that you will be put down, and you will lose all your reputation. Because in the Asian culture, face is very important. Not losing face, and that was the voice. David, you're going to lose face. You're going to lose your reputation. You're not going to be able to work anymore. You're going to be a failure. You're not going to survive. You're not going to be able to make money. You're not going to survive. All that thing. Of course, it was a lie of all that. But to trust my instincts, my intuitive instincts, they say, no, this is not true. Even I become a whistleblower I will be able to find another job. I will be able to build up a new relationship, which I have now with different people, and my
Mm.
reputation with different people is as good as they are. So that was the voice: is that you will lose face if you do this. If you do this, your face, your reputation will be gone forever. And that was something that even when I talk to some of my Asian friends, when they have an issue speaking out and telling the truth, they always come back to, but I'm going to lose face, right? This is my culture. I'm going to lose face. So they identify themselves with their culture. That if they do this, they go against the status quo, they will lose face. And even in China, and the leader, what they're doing is what he's doing. The leader of the Chinese government is that they're doing all these things because they don't want to lose face. But at the same time, they're just digging in themselves deeper and deeper and deeper. And if I were to listen to that voice, I would not be in this ascended master dispensation at all. I would never even meet Kim Michaels, just because I will continue to do what I do, is to work in that kind of industry and be
Mm.
comfortable. What's wrong with that? I was making good money, right? I was making good money, and there was something that also I had to realize. Okay, if I do this, I'm going to lose a
Yep.
good chunk of a living, and also I'm going to lose all my friends because they suddenly find out that, oh, David, you're a whistleblower. You what happens if you're going to whistleblow me too? so so I lost a lot of friends too. But
Yeah.
come to think,
It's
yeah.
it's all about surrender. It's about surrendering an attachment to, holding, saving face. It's about surrendering the attachments to earthly um, things that seem like their security on earth, be it friends or work or whatever it might be. But the whole time it's about surrender, just let go. And the more we let go, like, the lighter we sort of become, because we don't realize that we're actually hanging on to these things like anchors and
Hmm.
weights all around us.
And Saint Germain said it right. He said, why am I free? I'm free because I'm in the river of life. And if you're hanging on all these things, how can you be in the river of life? And I
Yeah.
now realize that was the truth. That was the truth. And that was why at the time, I had this experience of the flow, but I didn't know what it is. It was a strong experience. And that was and that was part of the reason why I decided to do this, is because I felt there's something more than my existence then. There's more to learn. There's more to be. And I felt, even though I had money, I have reputation, I have like a title as being a manager, but I felt there was just limited human existence. There's something more I can be than the title. So right now, I felt I'm more free than I was 10 to 20 years ago when I was working with the company, being with those friends, because now I have friends that respect my will. That I have even a friend that really enjoys my creativity, and that in itself, it's more free to me than I associate my friends in the past, where they are all sort of making an appearance. Putting up an appearance. It's
Mm.
not authentic. You
Yep.
can sense that it's fake on the outside. So right now, all my friends that I have, they are very authentic. It's very genuine to tell you what they think about you, which is cool, and how they want to work with you. So
Yeah.
to me, this is more free than the attachments that I had before. And come to think right now, if I didn't do all these things, I wouldn't be as free as I am now right now. So, and I wouldn't be able to meet you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's about making choices the whole time. Like you make the choice to surrender
Hmm.
something that's holding you into this collective acceptable patterning or whatever it might be, or into roles. And then you make a choice, well, what do I want? And I want to connect with people who are authentic and reflecting and talking deep and reflecting the same, a consciousness where we're prepared to look at ourselves and to grow. And
Hmm.
that's here right now, sharing this space. Um, and it's the time has sort of come for us to bring our interview to a close. But I really enjoyed just sort of, listening to you bring the whole of this story all together, and to share who you are, and, probably the greatest transcendence um, that you've achieved. So I salute your victory.
Well, I salute your victory to all the other interviews that you'll be doing
Yeah, yeah.
in the near future.
Yeah, yeah. It's all exciting. And I think, everything that you've talked about too, with speaking out, and that this is all a part of that process, and so I just encourage every person who I approach to remember, like, this is a part of all of our plan, I think, is that we can all speak out, like, and we don't have to be anyone in particular other than ourselves, so which isn't hard.
Hmm.
Or it can be hard, but it's not really.
Well, I think that speaking out is just giving them a different frame of reference,
Mm,
to give them, like, some people, then when they speak out in the, like the master say, in the antagonistic way. They try to change people's minds. But what I found is that speaking out is to give someone a different perspective, a different viewpoint.
yep.
So people say, "Ah, I never thought about that."
Yeah.
It's more powerful, I found, than trying to punch people, trying to Blu-ray people into submitting, because how could people change if they're not able to see a different choice they can make? Because many people that make choices right now, they only have a few choices they can make. Um, so when you give them a different choice that did not see by themselves, and then they look at it and say, "Hey, David has an interesting choice for me to choose. Let me investigate it. Let me realize it." And that was also the revelation that I got from my days in nursing, when I was taking care of one lady, and it was me saying to her, she was a Catholic, and she knew about my Ascended Master teachings and so forth. She called me a devil, and in the beginning, because she didn't believe this is all the right what Jesus taught. But in the end, when I uh, leave the nursing community because I decided to do something else, she came to me. She wrote a big letter saying thank you, and I was surprised. And I asked her, "Why did you write a letter to me saying thank you when you called me a devil?" And she says, "I called you a devil because I didn't listen to what you have to say. When you told me your life story and all that, it made me think that you made choices, new choices, based on what you saw you can make. And by listening to me making a new choice, she didn't realize that she could also make a new choice, which is basically like she had an issue with mental health, but she can talk to the doctor and say, I don't need to take this medicine because it's not helping me." And by her actually talking to the doctor, saying that, "Can you prescribe me a different medicine?"
Yeah, yeah.
And then the doctor said, "Oh, sure."
Mm.
And she said, "Oh, now you tell me that I can have a different medicine, but why did you offer me before?" And the doctor says, "But you never asked." You
Yeah.
never ask. Yeah. So what I did was I chose a different job because I wanted to move on to the next career that I wanted to be. And that story resonated with her that I can do that too. I can make a new choice.
Yeah. It's so simple. Just the choice for something different, the choice for something more.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I need to bring it to a close now with the time and everything.
Okay.
Okay, so thanks so much, David. And yeah, have a lovely day and many blessings.
Many
And bye,
blessings to you.
everybody.
See ya.